Hello and welcome to the official EFL Podcast, a special edition of the show today. As you can see, I'm at a wet and windy Rochdale as part of a youth development special for the podcast. We're going to speak to manager Brian Barry-Murphy and academy manager Tony Ellis on today's show. First, let's speak to that man, the manager of the club, Brian Barry-Murphy. I spoke to him inside when it was a little bit warmer earlier on about some of the exciting talent that's on show here at Rochdale, including this man.
Crossfield ball is played in, well brought down on the chest, it's high into the penalty area, and it's Matheson! Can you believe it? Luke Matheson, 7 days short of his 17th birthday, has just scored at Old Trafford. It's 1-1.
So we're now joined by Rochdale manager Brian Barry-Murphy. Thanks for coming onto the show, really appreciate your time. We've seen you've utilised the academy so much already this season. How important is it for you and this club going forward?
I think our academy is the lifeblood of the club really and the town. Ever since I've been at the club, it's been an integral part of the way we've done things. We've always had a process where members of our squad are senior established players like myself. I was back in 2010 when I joined, and you just see these young players coming through the academy system and arriving on our scene around 15 or 16, and you wonder who they are, and then after 2 or 3 days training you think they're a lot better than you are, and you think they're going to be taking my place and playing. So you either worry about it or you help them and you encourage them and you provide an environment where they can express themselves and be on the start of their road to wherever they may end up. And for some of our players in the past, that's right at the very, very top, and for some others it's been Championship, League 1, League 2. We've covered kind of the whole breadth of English football really, but it's something that fills us with enormous pride within the football club, and I think outside of the football club in the town, everyone I speak to always speaks about the sense of pride in so many of our young players representing the club at different times and going on to greater things elsewhere.
For you, is it difficult sometimes giving youth a chance, or do you find it something, at this club obviously we've seen the success, is it something that you have to do, I suppose? Yeah,
I don't find it difficult. Like I always say, when they come in our environment at first team level, and like I said before this, I was a coach and a player, and now as the leader as such, the only thing you want to do is protect them and provide a team that's good enough to do those players justice and look after them and make sure that they can display their talents in full really. And that's the kind of debt that I feel as if I owe them, is to bring them in at the right time and put them into situations where they don't feel 1% anxious or they don't feel nervous. They just feel they feel excited at the chance to be part of a group that will look after them and allow them to be fully expressive in everything they do. The thought of giving players their first opportunity in English football or in league football as such is one that fills me with excitement, and I think it's just imperative that you don't put them all in at the same time as such. You try and blend them at the right time and put them into the teams at the right time when we're at our strongest. And in the last few weeks in our league situation, it's been difficult because we've had all our senior players have been injured at the same time, so it's been a case of the players go in and they play and they're part of really tough games when we're stretched in terms of our personnel, and that's probably the only not ideal scenario where they have to all go in at the same time and kind of learn on the job and be part of really tough games. But on the flip side of that, once you come out of that and we start getting stronger as a group, you see the young players have had the experience and it's part of their development where they've kind of been at their hardest moment already, and then they learn from it and they come back even stronger and they're part of our group moving forward.
You touched on there being the lifeblood of the club. How much of a priority is it that you do develop these players into the first team? Is it the number one priority after results, you think?
Well, as a club and myself, I've never been obsessed with results. I've just been obsessed with training incredibly hard and producing performances that we know feel good and excite our supporters and provide them with some sense of pride in what we're doing and excitement. It doesn't feel there's no premeditated thoughts on my part about what we have to do as a club, or we have to introduce so many players every season. We just have at the moment a conveyor belt of talent that comes through every year, and it's been constant for the last, as long as I've been here, which is the last 9 years, and it's testament to the work that's been done at academy level really. I always get slightly embarrassed when they say Luke Matheson's done this, or Peter Thomas was the youngest player to play in the Leasing.com trophy, because and they asked me about their qualities because I've only been looking on from the outside as such, and Tony Ellis, Lee Riley was with us at the first team level now, and all his staff at academy level, Chris Brown, all that, they do all the work with all those players over a long period of time, and they're very much the ones who create that foundation for the players to come into our environment. So I think our duty is just to continue that, and like I said, to allow them to flourish. But we don't feel as if we have to put any amount of players into our first team environment. It's just something that we've always done, but it hasn't happened by accident. It's because of the work that's done throughout our academy level, and we naturally take great pride in continuing that journey into first team environment. And it's a model that the club has used since I've been here, and it's one that feels extremely humbling to be part of.
Yeah, you mentioned then the likes of Luke Matheson and Peter Thomas, playing this season. How much are these two a part of your plans now going forward? Yeah,
like I said, they're an integral part of the club and our first team environment. But I don't know if this is a little bit negligent, but we almost forget about their age when they come into our environment, and we just treat them as normal players, because Luke is seen as a first team player and someone who can play and do things that, with all due respect, other players in our squad can't do. So that's part of his unique contribution.
At the age of 15 and 16.
Absolutely, yeah. And sometimes people say to me, "Oh, you must think about their age," and I just kind of think, I drive home and I think, "Am I doing something wrong here?" I don't actually think of their age. I just say, for example, in the Leasing.com trophy when we were playing, and I just thought we need to get a striker on the pitch, and I turned around and I just saw Peter there, and I thought, "Oh, this is perfect for Peter." But that's because I've seen him play extraordinary games in the academy. I don't think about his age. And I don't know if that's a good thing or bad. I just think it's when we judge him on the merits, and I think we do have. I do have a responsibility to act in the best interest, and obviously not put him on relentlessly and use him in every game. But the upside of that is we just see them as normal members of the squad, and we treat them. And so you see the Luke Matheson playing at Old Trafford, and you see Peter playing those games, and there's plenty more of his colleagues at his own level that will be seen in our first team very, very quickly.
Yeah, you talk about Luke there at Old Trafford, effectively becoming sort of a household name overnight. How will it be difficult for you now to keep him sort of grounded after an experience like that? Because some people throughout the careers will never have an experience as big as that one, will they?
No, but again, I think it's just going back to my last answer. Really, I don't really worry about Luke, because we always we've had a relationship first as again I play with Luke, teammates, and then a mentor and now manager, where nothing he does socially bothers me, because I know he comes from a family like that that's very humble and very hardworking, and there's never a suggestion that we can't teach him or ask or demand him. And he was funny at Old Trafford at half time. I was quite hard on him because I didn't feel as if he was making enough runs, because I know how physically capable he is, and he made a couple of runs forward, but his recovery runs weren't quick enough for me, and I was quite hard on him, and I kind of felt embarrassed after the game because he scored. And
to give him the hairdryer.
Well, yeah, my hairdryer's not very good, so I was just.
It seemed to work though.
Yeah, I just wanted more from him, and I think that kind of ties into the way I view him going forward. I don't have to remind him of his duties and to keep his feet on the ground, because they're already on the ground.
Yeah. And you know that he's got that ability in him.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And he's someone that's he's very driven inwardly. He's got a lot of motivation in his own life, and he's always been very, very driven by his own circumstances, and that continues to be the case. And our job is to give him the next challenge. Really, the game at Man United was over, and the next challenge was the following week's training block that he has to do, and he has to commit to, and he always does without fail anyway. So there's great challenges ahead for him in the near and distant future, and that's obviously part of his journey now, which he will accomplish because he's that type of guy.
How much of an opportunity is it for some of these young players with the competitions that you have in place with the Leasing.com trophy, for example? It's a great chance for these young players to play against men. How important is that they are given that chance playing in stadiums against first team players? It must be vital for their development.
Absolutely. I think obviously the last few weeks we've had to play them in league games, and it's normally been the Leasing.com trophy where we would expose these really younger players to the first team demands of the game, coupled with our more established players. I think it's the whole feeling of preparing for a game, playing in your own stadium in front of your own supporters. And there's always been an appreciation from our own supporters that this is a competition that we play our younger players in, and we've started to get really good crowds in it because they want to watch our young players and see. I think there's always a sense of curiosity where you think, when is the next player coming in the scene? I want to kind of see him at a very early stage, and that's I think that's very exciting for the supporters. I think I saw Luke Matheson play his first game, and I watched his development, and it continues at Old Trafford. And where does it go from here? Well, it could go anywhere because he's that exciting and a talent, and the competition has been very, very beneficial to us, and it's allowed us to introduce the players in, I suppose, in a non-pressurised environment, really, because you spoke about the difference between number one priority being result or performance. I think in the Least Knock-On Trophy there's an understanding that I would never say there's an acceptance of losing, but there's the consequences of losing aren't as grave as losing league games. But we don't really worry about the consequences. We want the players to play and express themselves, and we would say we have said that we introduced Luke in league games, and it was irrespective of whether it was the Least Knock-On or league games. So we play our young players in all competitions anyway.
And I've seen previously you said you're not trying to make the headlines by making these calls, picking 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds in teams.
No.
But they inevitably are coming, though, these headlines. Will we see more of these headlines throughout the season? Have you got another, to talk about the Rochdale conveyor belt, so many young players coming through in recent years. Will we see more young players coming through this season while you're in charge?
Yeah, I wouldn't like to be making any bold or bravado statements about how many players we're going to bring through this season. This all started when Chris Beach and Tony Ellis took over the academy and started doing the work for Keith. So I don't feel as if I'm like doing any groundbreaking transformation of the club here. It's just something that it feels normal to me. If that. But
you're continuing it and benefiting from it as well, aren't you?
Absolutely, but I think it's what makes our club different. And again, I don't want to sound all high and mighty, but there's loads of clubs who are bigger than us, who are in League Two or the Conference because they've used their own systems of buying players or selling players or releasing 10, 20 players every season. We have a way of doing things that I believe is different, and the way I understand the club is, and this might be wrong in time to come, is that we bring to our own players and we give them a platform to play in league games and Least Knock-On Trophy games and cup games, Carabao Cup at Old Trafford. So that makes us slightly different. We can say to players that this is what we do for you when you come into our academy. We give you a clear pathway to play at first team level, and they're not just words. We're willing to actually do it because it suits us in terms of the actual players we need to play, because we haven't got big squads and we haven't got the finances to compete with the teams in our league, but also because it's just something that we feel passionate about. It's something that we enjoy doing. So people say, well, what's your culture, or what's your point of difference, what makes you different? I would say the fact that we're willing to play our young players irrespective of the circumstances, really, and we're not desperate for results. We want to get results, we want to win games, but we want to do it with our own players, coupled with the outstanding characters that we managed to retain over the years, the Jim McNulty's, Ian Henderson's, Aaron Wilbrahams. If I was a parent, which I am, and my son or daughter was coming into this environment, I would be filled with hope and optimism that they're going to get the best education in terms of football and life that they could get, and I think that's something to be very proud of, and I think it's something to even remember more when results can be difficult in League One, and when you're stretched they are difficult and you lose 2 or 3 games, and we're all insanely competitive. We want to win games and we want to be at the top of the table, but it's not possible at this moment. But we know that we are. We have a clear vision of what we are as a club and what we stand for, as I understand it. I think it's something that the supporters really relate to, and we played Wimbledon last week and some of the supporters were frustrated, and I got it fine, and I enjoy it because they're the great supporters, and too many young players, because they think it's difficult to blood them all at the same time, and very, very fair comments. And I said yes, but like, we had all these young players playing at Old Trafford, and now we're even more stretched, so they're playing in a very difficult game. But once we come through this period where they don't have to all come in together, they've got the experience of playing in a difficult game now, they can come back out and we get some more experienced players back in, and they're all stronger down the line. They've had that experience, and it benefits everyone. So that's the way I see our club and what makes it one to be extremely proud of, and I think the supporters are all on the same page, and I know the club is.
Brian, it's been fascinating talking to you. Thank you very much for your time, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian Barry-Murphy there, speaking a little earlier to me. Now let's take the focus away from Rochdale. Don't worry, we'll bring it back to the club later on in the show. But now let's focus on Cheltenham Town and their young starlet who's coming through the ranks on loan from Hull City, Jacob Greaves, who this month won the EFL's Young Player of the Month. Jacob, first of all, congratulations, Young Player of the Month for September. How does it feel to receive an award with such competition as well throughout the EFL?
Yeah, I'm delighted to achieve the award. I think it's recognition for the performances I've put in September, and also the team's performances as well, because we've gone through September unbeaten, keeping a few clean sheets as well along the way. So I'm delighted to get the award.
And the individual recognition at such a young age, how much does that mean to you personally as well?
Yeah, it means a lot. As I said, a lot of recognition for what I've done. I've come here and I think I've impressed people, and that's what I was aiming to do. Delighted to get the award at such a young age and like big competition as well. So it's a great award to get.
Of course, on loan from Hull, 12 appearances so far. Could it have gone any better for you so far, do you think?
Yeah, I'd say if we could have stayed unbeaten for the full, I think I've played 10 league games. I think we've been beat once at Crawley last minute, so I think if we could have kept a clean sheet there, I think it'd gone perfect. But no, obviously, there's always ways to improve and stuff, so it has been good, but obviously there's ways to improve, and that's what I'm looking to do.
Yeah, striving for perfection then. You made your debut in the Carabao Cup. Just tell us about that experience, making your professional football, playing against men for the very first time. What was that like?
Yeah, it was tough, to be fair, against a good Bristol side as well at their place. So their fans as well. I think there was a lot of fans there, and I've never experienced anything like that. So I had to get the fans out of my head straight away, kind of thing, and just concentrate on my game. But I was next to Tozer and Raglan as well, so they're experienced pros, and they helped me through it, and they've been good along the way. So no. It was tough, but I enjoyed it.
What's the experience as well so far working under Michael Duff, in a successful team? You've been quite lucky with your loan move, really, haven't you? Working in a team that's winning and doing well. What's the experience been like in terms of working under the manager?
Gaffer's been brilliant with me. Obviously, he's an ex-centre-half, played in the Premier League, so he's always talking to me about what I need to do. He's big with keeping your shoulders turned as well, keeping concentrated. So no, it's been great working with him, but coming into such a team that's doing well has been good for me. Every day you come in, everyone's in good spirits and everyone's on the training pitch, it's better, everyone's happy, there's more smiles on their face. But even if, then when we did get beat against Crawley, we were still smiles on the pitch because we knew that we'd go again and get 3 points on the Saturday, which we did.
Your dad, obviously a former Hull City player, what did he make of the choice of loan move as well, so far away from home, of course?
Yeah, well, I think he wanted to get me out of the house, to be fair. No, I'm joking there. He's been great with me, to be fair. Obviously, I got home and told him that there was a few clubs interested, and he obviously wanted what was best for me. And obviously I told him that Cheltenham and obviously Sheafy was here as well, so he thought that would be good for me because it's a great little town as well, and the players here are good. So now he was happy that I could get the move to Cheltenham and experience some pro football.
What's it like to see as well? So many young players now doing well in the EFL. We've seen the likes of Luke Matheson scoring at Old Trafford, Jude Bellingham hitting the heights he's doing at the minute at Birmingham City. What's it like to see all those players doing so well and yourself doing well? How much of an inspiration is that for you? Higher up, you see those players performing week in, week out now.
Yeah, definitely. You look at the likes of Chelsea as well, the young players there. There's a good pathway there through the EFL. I think a lot of managers now are giving the young players that chance, which I think they needed, and I think a lot of the younger boys are performing well. That's only going to be good for the manager and the team going forward. Yeah,
and having the confidence of both your managers as well, even Grant McCann giving you that 3-year contract before you came out here, and your manager now saying that next year you should be playing in the Championship. How good is it to have those two people believing in you?
Yeah, obviously two great pros. And obviously they see what I do day in, day out, so they've got a better look than the fans, kind of thing. So to get the recognition off them two is great, but I've got to keep on impressing them. Like, I can't just stand still. I want to keep pushing. And as he said, he wants me to, like I said, I can play in the Championship, but I've got to impress people to do that. So hopefully if I can do that, then that'll be good.
And ambitions for the rest of the season so far? You seem to be in a promotion hunt already.
Yeah, obviously the gaffer wants promotion, and so do all the boys. All the boys are hungry for it. But I just want to play as many games as I can, do as well as I can, and we'll see what happens. But hopefully, yeah, we want to be pushing for promotion because I think the boys are good enough, definitely, to do that.
It's an individual award. You've got a week off this week after your match against Newport got called off because of international call-ups. How are you going to celebrate winning this award?
Well, I think we've got the weekend off, to be fair. Obviously with no games, so I'm going to get home, just see all my family. They don't know that I've got the award yet, but once they see it, they'll all be happy, and we'll probably go out for some food, something like that. But no, I'll see all the boys from back home, and obviously they'll be delighted for me. So I'll just celebrate by seeing my family and friends.
Congratulations again, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you. Cheers, Bob.
Jacob Greaves there speaking to me earlier. Now let's bring the focus back here to Rochdale and an interview with Academy Manager Tony Ellis, and a fascinating insight this into what goes on behind the scenes here at the club. Tony, welcome to the show first of all. What's it like for you seeing some of your young boys hit the heights like they've been doing so far this season?
It's really good to see them hit the heights, but it's been a long process of getting them there. So we see like really important regarding recruitment of foundation phase, not just recruitment of players but recruitment of staff. We recruit staff with different skill sets. They're not all ex-professional footballers. You know, some have different backgrounds. We have a psychologist, we have a teacher. We kind of, it's like in the foundation phase, the coaches within the foundation phase are fit for purpose. They understand them young players. So when they understand them young players, and it being a fun game for them at that age group, it's an ideal pathway into the youth development phase.
What's the secret to your success though? We've seen obviously this season the likes of Luke Matheson come through and be, you know, making the headlines, but what's the success at your level to get someone to that level?
Well, I think it's creating the right environment. Again, I think it's recruiting the right members of staff, putting the staff in the right places. I think it's understanding individuals. I think it's giving them individuals ownership. The individual learning objectives, we actually give them ownership. We actually give them freedom within that framework. So we have, for example, like the coaches. The coaches will get resources, but within them resources, we're not kind of prescriptive with the resources. We're actually like, they have freedom within that framework. So we don't say, there's a session plan, this is what you do. If we're working on a playing through the centre of the pitch, we allow the coach to kind of develop himself, and I think when you allow coaches to develop and problem solve, it helps with the players. I think the players do that. Because at the end of the day, we are actually here to guide and influence the players. The players are in charge of their development.
So the coaches themselves, it sounds like it's about their development as coaches as well at that level.
It's everything. It's everything, because if you're really prescriptive with coaches and you're giving them session plans that this is what we want you to do, they're not thinking for themselves. You're thinking for them. But if we've got a theme of attacking and say we're attacking in units or we're attacking down the wings, them coaches will go and find a session and deliver a session. As long as the ILPs are coming out of what we're looking for within that theme, then we're quite free with that. We are kind of black and white with the constants and the non-negotiables, but with the kind of freedom within the framework, we're kind of, there's a grey area there. You can go and develop yourself, you can go and problem solve.
And like we talked about, Luke Matheson and Peter Thomas, of course, the two that have made the headlines this season. Did you always know that they'd get a chance in the first team based on what we've seen so far?
Well, what we do, we actually know the players that we're looking for, position specific for the first team. So we kind of work around that, and we have our own scouting report for the academy linked to what position specific. So I think Luke came to us as a centre forward, as a young boy in the foundation phase. Then he went as a right winger, and now he's a right back. So what I think we did see in Luke is he was very quick, he was very good 1v1s with and without the ball. And the development as Luke was kind of, one day we needed a right back and we tried Luke at right back. He was very good at going forward, he was very good defending 1v1.
And we've seen like their success this season, like I mentioned, making the headlines. How inspiring is that though for the rest of your group now, the young lads now coming through? Does that help you as a coach, knowing the fact that, you know, that there is that pathway into the first team?
I think what does help, even when Luke was 14, 15 and 16, and he was training with the first team and playing with the first team, he was still coming to train with the academy on a Tuesday night if he weren't involved, or a Thursday night. So he was very grounded, which most of the kids are anyway, because that's how we kind of bring them up. We don't just think about the football, we think about what they're going to be like in life, really, because that's important. So his feet have always been on the ground. So when he's come training, he's Luke and under 16 or Luke and under 15, not Luke who's played for the first team.
You sort of touched on it there, but what does it take to spot a player at that sort of level, you know, who's going to be making it into the first team in a few years' time? How do you get it from, you know, the first involvement of picking and finding these players?
Well, what we tend to do, the ones we feel as though are going to progress into where we need them. So if, say, an under 13, we're looking at not what he is at an under 13, what maybe he can be as an under 18. So we'll kind of fast track that with stepping them up, playing up an age group, playing them up 2 age groups. We understand that they will plateau at some occasion, so that's when we'll bring them back down and let them play at their own age groups. Then when they use again, we'll step them back up again. So we find stepping them up, test them, and helps us find out more about them young people.
You talked about Luke being well grounded there, coming to the academy training as well as training with the first team. But we've seen in the past with the young players, you know, cleaning the boots and things like that. What do you do now as part of the process? You mentioned there about, you know, bringing them through as people as well. What's part of the process in terms of grounding these young people? Because obviously at that age, you know, they're going to need to be influenced, aren't they?
Well, we like to give them ownership. You know, we like I said before, we like to give them ownership with everything they do, even if it's putting a warm-up session on or putting a passing receiving drill on. We like them to kind of take ownership of what they're doing and kind of be in charge of what they do. Regarding keeping them grounded, obviously you have to be careful what jobs you're actually asking them to do. I think cleaning boots is one of the jobs that we still actually demand.
You still do it now?
Yeah, we still do it now. I think
happy about
awesome. that? I would think they're happy at Christmas. So if they're cleaning somebody's boots and somebody gives them a few quid for Christmas, I think they're happy then. I don't think they're happy during the season when they're doing it, but I think that helps them. And generally they just keep their own room tidy. So whatever they make a mess up, they just keep, you know, they keep it tidy.
And what do they have to show to you to even get a chance to train with the first team? When do you know that they're ready to do that, and how do they go about doing that?
Well, we have a very good link with the academy and the first team. That's through members of staff. That's through staff having pathways. We've got two coaches now who actually are very, very influential with the first team who have come through the academy. They actually know the players, so it's a good link.
And I'm asking Brian of this, but how beneficial is it that, you know, these young players have these opportunities, these incentives to play? We've seen, like Luke, getting his chance in the Carabao Cup. So many players getting the chance in the leasing.com trophy now. How beneficial is it for these players that there are these competitions there so that they get that chance to play first team men's football? It's
fantastic that they're playing on an evening in a stadium under floodlights. Now what's really good at this moment in time is the under 15s floodlit cup, the under 14s floodlit cup, because it's kind of given them a bit of a preparation that they're actually playing in stadiums and they're actually playing under floodlights. They're not playing in front of a crowd, and I think that's the add-on. So when they actually go onto the football pitch, so they've had a little bit of experience under floodlights in a stadium, now it's a crowd, it's like, it must be amazing for the young boys, because at their age I'd never had that experience. I was in my 20s before I had that experience. But for them young boys, it must be so, you know, especially with the boys, Luke and Daniel, who's left and gone to Norwich, it must be a really good experience. Do
you take satisfaction in that as well when the young players do move on and, you know, go on to bigger and better things? Is that not part of your role, but does that give you confidence that you're doing your job right?
We're doing our job right. It's a collective. It's really good members of staff who have good knowledge, like I said before, have different skill sets, and I think we're all proud. It's not about it's Tony Ellis who's brought these people through, because it's not. It's been Lee Riley, it's been Kevin Gibbons, it's been Dan Lloyd, it's been people within the academy who actually helped them. It's been the recruitment person who brought them in, Anthony Thompson. It's that collective that have actually helped. I know we've had to influence, but as I said before, them really good boys actually problem solve really quickly, actually self-develop really quickly.
And we've seen obviously the guys that have come through this season so far. Are there going to be a few more before the end of the season? We're going to see who progress into that first team, do you believe? Who's next on the ladder up to the first team squad?
We've got a few good boys in the 16s. There's Kasper Milakovsky, there's Ethan Briley, there's Peter Thomas. We've got a few really good 15s coming through. My under 13s are most probably the strongest team we've got at this moment in time regarding the way we're looking as a football club to play around the philosophy of constants and non-negotiables. So we have got some really good players coming through. We've just sold a young boy to Man United, under 14, who would have been most probably the next really young boy to train with Brian in the first team.
Wow, even looking at that level, there's still that interest, isn't there, from all the academies around the country that the Rochdale are doing things the right way. If you take getting interesting players at that level, it shows you that you guys are doing your job right, doesn't it?
I think what helps, I think we are doing our job right, but the connect between academy and first team is really close. If you come and watch the under 9s play, you'll see them playing exactly the same as the under 18s, exactly the same as the first team. Around the philosophy, around the values of the football club.
Well, it's been a fascinating chat with you, Tony. Thank you very much for joining us, and yeah, good luck for the rest of the season. I'm sure there's a few academy talents that we should be looking out for.
Thank you.
And that's it from Rochdale this week on the official EFL podcast, a special edition of the show celebrating youth development. I hope you've enjoyed it.